So we kicked that stock little V6 to the curb, pushed it down, bullied it, took its lunch money, and then stuffed in some fire-breathing turbo V8 power. Awesome, right? Well, it leaves us with a lot more questions that we need to answer. Like, how do we keep this thing cool? Now, there are a ton of V8 swapped Fiero guys who run the stock V6 radiator. Probably more than you'd think. But a lot of our issue comes with packaging restraints. You can see that the LS water pumps are fairly bulky. And that's why GM designed the LS4 with that wacky wavy inflatable arm flailing tube man of a water pump. But this engine, when I bought it, did not come with one of those water pumps, and they are surprisingly expensive. And it's like literally 10 degrees outside Gangster's Paradise, Michigan here, so I'm not gonna go to a junkyard diving for one. Especially when Jerry at Mazir sends me an email saying we've got exactly what that little bottle rocket needs. So for any of you Neanderthals who aren't familiar with them, go check out Mazir up there. Right there, those guys. Because they were willing to work with us on a few things for the car that are just too nice for me. Too nice for this car. Too nice to put on a Fiero, for sure. The first of which is all this paper to burn to keep me warm here. I'll put that right in front of the heater. Jerry had a bunch of leftover tubing that he didn't use on his truck, so he's like, yeah, I'll just send it to you, whatever. A bunch of different fittings to try, which is sweet. We'll get to these in a second. Because the thing that I'm the most excited about is in this box right here. This, I'm pretty sure they just came out with. So this is a water manifold. And what this is gonna do is allow us to run a remote water pump super easily. Now, a lot of times when people wanna run a remote water pump on an LS, they'll have the little fittings that bolt right here with just an AN fitting there, and then run a bunch of hoses and a bunch of other fittings. That's what I was gonna do. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and fittings get expensive quick. And there are things similar to this, but they don't look nearly as good. Like, this is just a good looking piece. So basically there's 2 ports on each end. This side's blocked off. We'll have to move those to the other side. Get a fitting like this. I don't think this is the right size that we'll need, but it was in his bag of fittings that he tossed in. And all it does is just thread right into the one side. And then we'll need another one for over here, and we're good to go. We'll just bolt this right to the front of the engine. And then all you gotta do is run your coolant lines to it. Easy. This seriously beats the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fittings, 12 AN fittings, like 12-12 or 16 fittings. Those are expensive. And it does have the ports up here for your steam port or whatever you want to run. So you can see it'll be just like that. It's so good looking, man. It's such a simple solution to a problem that a lot of people were annoyed with. And again, you can see there's not a ton of room here for me to begin with. Bam. It fits like a glove. It fits almost perfect. I don't even have to cut the battery tray or anything. But, unfortunately, until I put a different timing cover on it, it's not going to clear this LS4 cam sensor. But the other piece of our puzzle is in this box. This is part number WP336S. This is a remote water pump that we're going to put right up front by the radiator. Look at this bad boy. This should be going on my RX-7. This should not be going on the Fiero. This is sick. So it's as simple as putting the fitting here, putting the other fitting there. We'll have to make some sort of mount for it that they've got bolt holes here for, because this thing's kind of heavy, probably like 10, 15 pounds. So yeah, that remote water pump we're gonna put right up here by the radiator so that it can push all the water out to the engine, and then it can do its little deal back there, come back to the radiator, chill out a little bit, and repeat. And we're gonna run the stock coolant hoses that are on the frame. If you guys don't know, these cars have aluminum tubing that runs from the front to the back that the coolant goes through. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is get the car lifted up in the air and start looking at spots we can mount the water pump. And fingers crossed that's not too much of a pain in the ass. So here you can see the coolant pipe that I was talking about earlier. It comes all the way up through here. And right here's what we've got to work with. Fuck. I was actually hoping there was a lot more room than that. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to ponder that one a bit, huh? I might be able to remove that coolant overflow tank and just get a smaller one and then kind of mount the pump where that is, roughly. Alright, so this is a centrifugal pump, therefore it must be gravity fed. It should be mounted at or below the midpoint of the cooling system. To prevent airlocking and cavitations, the outlet of the pump must be higher than the inlet. So there's going to be any orientation like that. The problem here is fitting this. Alright, so I got the overflow and everything out of the way. I test fit it from up top, and I just don't think that it's going to work right there. I could make it work if I cut that tray out and just made room for it, but then I'm taking away even more storage space in the car, which I don't really want to do. So I think as long as this is at the lowest point, or I mean on the directions it says at the midway point or lower of the cooling system. So right there is the coolant pipe. If I mount this thing right here, oops. If I mount this thing right here, it should work pretty well, I'd imagine. It's still well below the halfway point of the cooling system. I mean, it's at the bottom of the engine. I can weld the tab right to this subframe rail here. Now, admittedly, that's not where I wanted to put it, but just chassis limitations and trying to keep like storage space, storage compartment. I think that's about the only spot we really can put it, which means I have to fight to get that lower radiator hose back on, because those hoses in short spaces are really a pain in the butt. Doesn't help that that's probably the original hose, honestly, which would make it like 36 years old. Good Lord. Is that right? It's crazy how time just keeps on passing. All right, got the car back down, and I got the front timing cover pulled off it. This is the stock LS4 timing cover. You can see the cam sensors up here on a traditional like LS2, LS3 style. The cam sensor is over here, and that's what I got ordered. I was initially going to go with this, say screw it, and just run this, make it work. But after doing a little bit of reading and some discussion with other people, I ended up getting a LS2, LS3 style front timing cover. It's on its way, it's not here yet. The main thing for me was this Mizzier manifold hits this mounting flange right here. So physically, couldn't really do much about that. I mean, if I really wanted to, maybe I could cut this off and re-weld it down here, but I just didn't think it was worth it. So I have this normal Gen 3 timing cover on here just to keep stuff from getting in the engine. But we should be able to test fit this now and kind of mock up some hoses, see how that's going to work. All right, got the manifold on there. Dude, it fits so good. It fits like it was made for it. And like even when I have to drop the cradle, it'll still clear the frame. I know that they're kind of pricey, but man, it's so nice. And then you can see where the water inlet and outlet are. The inlet's right below it. So really now the only thing we got left to do is get the car lifted back up and locate the water pump itself. We'll run the wires another time. I mean, it's just a power ground through a relay, so that's not super complex. All right, that was almost pretty bad. I'm a bit of an idiot, so I forgot that where I was just talking about putting the water pump is almost exactly where I need to put the alternator. So yeah, the alternator needs to go right here. So water pump's not gonna work there, but I think I did find a solution. If I mount it sideways, it fits up here, and I've got this kind of mount that I'm working on. Right now I just have it vice gripped to the mount that comes with the pump, and then I'm going to bring it down, and I don't know if I'm going to bolt it or weld it to this brace right here. So for anybody who was screaming at the video a minute ago saying, "No, you idiot," I did notice it in time, and it does look like this will work. And like I said earlier, it recommends mounting it at the midway point or below, so it's still going to have plenty of gravity feed into it. It's just not the lowest point, which is what I was hoping for. But I'm going to get this finished up real quick, and then for the hose that comes off it, I'm just going to basically loop it around. All right, we got it all figured out. Everything seems to be working out perfect. Got the water pump tucked in there. You can't even see it. Look at that. It clears everything. It's floating in free open space, so that's sick. The inlet for the water pump is well below the halfway point of the radiator, And the radiator is not the highest point in the cooling system on these cars usually. You can see the hose comes around and then loops back around. That hose is actually a stock Silverado upper radiator hose, and it fits perfect. I didn't have to cut it at all. I was all ready to chop the heck out of that thing to make it fit, and it worked perfectly. And it's not even like kinked anywhere. It's awesome. You can see a little bit of the blue right there. The hose from this side radiator rail, I don't know what to call them, comes up. That's all going to work out perfectly. The one to the driver's side, the return, I still have to make a little bit. Right here is the fitting that goes into the manifold. The upper one's a little bit smaller. I think it's 1 inch, and the lower side is 1 1/4, I believe. This, I'm almost going to have to wait until I drop the cradle just to physically get my hands in there to do everything. But I need to get like a little union to connect this to the 1 1/4 hose right there. And no, it's not going to be that close to the exhaust system. I'm going to have it connected to these little tabs to keep it secured and away from all the heat. And honestly, I might get a black one. For some reason, I'm just not a big fan of bright color radiator hoses. I like them either black or bare aluminum. I don't know why. Just one of those weird things about me. The only thing left, really, is to just get the pump wired up. And that's, like I said, just power and ground. And I'm going to be running it through a relay, but I'm not going to do that right now. So we got the big things taken care of. So that is how we are going to keep this big turbo V8 cool in the back of this RX-7. Fiero. So that is how we are going to keep this big turbo V8 cool in the back of this Fiero. One step closer. A little bit of progress every day, and eventually this thing will be done. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to get any merch, you can check out the Teespring store in the first link in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell. I'll see you next time.